Alright, hello everyone, welcome to the stream. I hope you're all doing well. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are today. We've got a treat in store. So, this is going to be the team and group stage draw for our latest and greatest tournament from the Wingspan Tournaments Discord server, which is the Diamond Firetail Foursomes. So this is going to be a team tournament. We have 4 players in each team, and there's going to be a total of 24 teams. So, yeah, very exciting. We have done some work behind the scenes to get all of this ready. We have got a total of 96 players, ranked by previous ELO, and then placed into 4 different pots. So, with 4 teams, or 4 players, I should say, in each team, we're going to have 1 player from each pot. So hopefully we get some reasonably well-balanced teams. And yeah, we'll have 24 teams. They are then going to go into a group stage. So we'll have 8 groups with 3 teams in each group. And everyone is going to play everyone from the other teams in their group. And then whichever team has the most wins from each group is going to go through into a knockout round. So very, very exciting. Lots of good matches hopefully to come. And yeah, before we get into that, obviously, we have got to do the teams. So we'll get stuck into it pretty quickly. Like I said, we have 4 pots of players. We have 24 players in each pot. And how this is going to work is essentially I'm going to go through for each pot one by one. So we'll start with pot A. And we're going to pick 1 player at a time, and they're going to go into each team one by one. So once we have exhausted all the options from pot A, we will then go through onto pot B and start populating the teams from there on as well. So yeah, it should be exciting. Lots of uncertainty, of course, who you're going to get in your team, but also what other teams are going to be in your group. So lots to pay attention to, and you're going to be looking for other players in your pot maybe that you might be coming up against. Obviously I know we've got a lot of friends and family members on the server, so you'll be keeping an eye on each other, I'm sure. But that is enough waffling on from me at this stage. I think we can get stuck into it. So like I said, I have a random name generator, which is the same one I used for the Blue Tip Bash, if you were around when we did that. So yeah, essentially it's just going to go through and grab names one at a time, which should be very, very exciting. So of course as well, once you've got your teams, you can also pick your own team name, which is, I think, a large part of the fun of these kind of team tournaments anyway. So yeah, I think we're about ready. So let me just check I've got everything set up. Hopefully it doesn't break when I click go. And yeah, so our first name from pot A out of the hat we have, if I can center that correctly, we have June Pike. Let me just shift that over. Make sure we can see that. Good. So June is going to be going straight into Team 1 in Group A. So I want to see lots of speculation in the chat. I want to see who you think is going to get paired up with who. I know there's always going to be one group of death or team of death, so get some speculation in. We'll see who it's going to be. Right, next up into Team 2. We have got Groovenstein. Groovenstein making his way into Team 2. Next up for Team 3 to finish off this Group A, we have Tayray. So I know Groovenstein and Tayray, you are both in the chat. You can argue with each other which one of your team, which one of your 2 teams is going to make it out of Group A. Because like I said, 3 teams per group, only one of you is going to get through, unfortunately. So it should be a tasty matchup at least there in Group A. Moving on to Group B, the first team in Group B, we have Team 4. And the player from pot A going into team 4 is Waterman, who I believe might also be in the chat. So there we go. Moving on to team 5, we have Sim 17. So this is already shaping up quite nicely, this group. Sim, obviously, long time tournament winner, plenty of experience there. So I'm sure all of the players in pots B, C, and D will be crying out to be put into team 5. But moving on, the next team and final team in Group B, we have got Chop You Up. So apologies, Chop. You're not going to be too happy with me. That's going to be quite a tricky group. But of course, we've still got plenty more players to get through. So don't count your chickens before they hatch. Moving on to the next group into Team 7. We've got No M. So No M making their way into Group C, Team 7. Next up, Team 8. We have Gracklin Oat Brand. So a couple of new commentators, both making their way into Group C to play each other. And rounding off that group in Team 9 is Epic Sax Guy. So another kind of rising star. I think Epic Sax Guy might actually be top of the ELO at the moment. So this is a very, very tasty looking group already, this Group C. And we're only a quarter of the way through it. So moving on onto Group D. We have Loris, our very recently crowned Premier League Division 1 champion. So everyone's going to be wanting to be in that team, but also not be in the other teams in that group. So speaking of teams in that group, next up we have Rocket Fuel. So another recent champion. This is the group of champions, clearly Group D. Rocket Fuel winning the Boot It Bash, in fact, not too long ago. So yeah, lots of new tournament winners in Group D. Who is going to go alongside them into Team 12? It is going to be Croker. So there we go. Croker rounds off Group D from the Pot A perspective. And moving on, next up we have Group E. The first player into Group E is Ethma. E for Ethma. Unlucky 13 perhaps, but you got into Group E at least. Next up, Team 14 is Ronster. So there we go, Ronster making their way into Team 14. And finally, into Team 15, we have Slow Pigeon. So another player who has done very well in the Premier League and other recent tournaments. So a strong looking group as well, that one, Group E. Next up, Group F. Hopefully no F's in the chat for this one. We've got Motherlove. They make their way as the Pot A player for Team 16. Next up, Team 17. We've got Geese the Beast, who I have also seen in the chat. So what do you think of that, Geese? You're going to have to play against Motherlove. Might be a tricky one for you there. And finally, into Group F, we have Julius heading up Team 18. So there we go. A couple of J's there, but sadly in Group F. Moving on, Group G. The first team, the first player of Group G is Zoom. Straight into Group G, Team 19. Where's Flan going to land? That's the big question. I'm starting to worry because there's not many names left here. So hopefully I'll come up soon. Next up, into Group G, Team 20, we have a very new name to me, so I'm probably going to say it wrong. I'm going to say it's Bout Nemo. But yeah, someone who has is somewhat of a rising star of the server, so good to see them into Group G there. Next up, into Group G, Team 21, we have got Iraku. So Iraku making their way there. Finally off Group G, so we know there's only 3 players left. We know where they're going to go. But we've got to finalise which teams exactly they are going to go in. So Team 22, we've got Alex. Team 23, we've got Midlife. And I think we all know where this last one's going. Team 24, we've got Flan. So Flan Halen's Revenge. Alex, we're going to be facing up against each other. That's going to be a tasty one. But there we go. That is Pot A complete. So we could already start to see some interesting matchups shaping up here. I'm already getting some conspiracies. That was always going to be the way. But there's a long way to go in this group stage draw. So yeah, here we go. We'll move on. Next up, we've got Pot B. So let's just get the new names carried on over. And I think we will be ready to go. So, as before we start back up the top, Group A, Team 1, the first name out of the hat from Group, or from Pot B, I should say, it is Copdog. Copdog, who is on the surge at the moment from the ELO. So, definitely a rising star potentially there. And already a good pairing there with June Pike, so one to watch for sure. Next up, joining Gruvenstein into Team 2, we have got I Hate, who was on my team last time, so very strong player. Groove, you have got yourself a good one there, and absolutely a tasty looking group. Next up, Tay-Ray, who are you going to have? Who do you want? Who's it going to be? It is Sibbert, another strong player. So like I said, lots of strong players still as we get into this Pot B. Captain Awesome, I can see you in the chat as well. I'm sure you'll be waiting to see when you come out. Next up, we go over to Group B. And who's going to join Waterman? In Team 4, it is going to be Floating Lakes. Floating Lakes, one of my fellow mods, so another strong looking team, and we're going to have some mod on mod violence there as well with floating up against Chop. That's going to be a fun one. Yeah, hopefully we can get to enjoy that one. Next up, joining Sim. This is the one that everyone wants. Who's it going to be? It is Daniel. Wow, okay, that is very, very strong. That is going to be a team to watch out for sure. That's Sim and Daniel already. And finally, into Group B, into Team 6 alongside Chop You Up, we have Bilbo Bobbins. So another good player making their way into Group B there. Some very tasty matchups coming. We move on to Group C. Joining No M in Team 7, we've got G-Man. I think it's quite a recent joiner to the server, but already making their way up the ELO leaderboard clearly if they're in Pot B. So some potential there alongside No M. Into Team 8, joining Grackling Oakbrand, we have got Captain Awesome. There you go, Captain. I'm sure you'll be very, very happy with that. That is a good team to be on, I think. A couple of strong players there. And next up into Team 9, alongside Epic Sax Guy, we have got Oki. I saw some people asking for Oki in their team in the chat. You can't all have Oki. We would all love to have Oki, but Epic Sax Guy is the lucky one today. So there we go, into Group C. Next up, we go over to Group D. And joining Loris. Again, this is one that everyone wants to be a part of. We've got Rick Sissel. Very familiar name, someone who's been around for a while, very strong player, so that's a good looking team. Next up, Team 11, we've got Bushnit joining Rocket Fuel. So a couple of tournament winners there. Bushnit alongside Captain Awesome winning the last team tournament, so some real pedigree on display there. And it's Team 12, we have Dirtlegurg joining Croker. So again, good looking team starting to form there. Moving on over into Group E, joining Ethma, we have got Stalled Bird. So Stalled Bird making their way there alongside Ethma. Part of me was hoping Funbum was going to come out there. So that would have been nice to see, but maybe it's best for their sanity that they're fighting against each other and not on the same team. But there you go. Next up, joining Ronster. In Team 14, we have got Moops. So Moops, again, someone who's been around for a while. Might have taken a bit of a break, I think, from the server, but come back very strong. So good looking team there alongside Ronster. Next up, we have Julius Diamond, who's joining Slow Pigeon. So again, a very experienced player. That's a tasty looking team there in Group E. And joining Motherlove over in Group F, Team 16, we've got Owl Standing. Just more and more of these real strong players are coming out. And we've still got some real strong ones still left in, you know, Scared of Birds, G-True, that Funbum, Ballet, like all of these are really good players. So I'm looking forward to having one of them on my team for sure when it gets to that. But I'm getting ahead of myself here because first of all, we have got Geese the Beast, and you're going to be joined by Ballet Mage. So best of luck to you both there. In Group F, I am definitely keeping Funbun for myself. I'll be very happy if I get Funbun. don't get the conspiracies in the chat if that does actually happen. But we'll see. Moving on. Joining Julius over in Team 18, we have Orsinus. Orsinus making their way into the final slot of Group F there for the Pot B players. Next up, joining Zoom. Into Team 19, we have Spake Me. I wouldn't have minded Spake Me, another Brit. There's not too many of us around, so we got to stick together, but sadly not this time. But you get Zoom, who is absolutely strong player from Division 1 of the Premier League this time. And joining Bout Nemo in Team 20. Ah, there we go. Well, now you know it's not a conspiracy. Now you know this isn't rigged. There you go, Fun Bun making their way into Team 20. And closing off Group G from a Pot B perspective, we have got G Trudat again. It's meant to be G Trudat in Group G. You can't make it up. And moving on to our last group, we have got Group H, Team 22 joining Alex. It is Scared of Birds. So two very, very strong players there already. I'm not looking forward to those matches. Those are going to be tough ones. Next up, Team 23. Who's it going to be? Is it going to be Birdwatcher or Mr. Snooze? It is going to be Mr. Snooze. So a couple of M's there. Maybe we've got the M team forming. It's Team 23. And to finalise things off, of course, only one player left. It is going to be Birdwatcher. So Birdwatcher, you are on my team. I could only apologise. But there you go. You're stuck with me now. So there we go. We're halfway through. We have absolutely sped through this, which is good because there's a lot of players to get through. We'll move on to Pot C. So another set of 24 names, of course, to get through. And the first one out of the hat, who's going to be joining June Pike and Copdog in Team 1, we have got... Oh, let's do that again. That broke. Who's it going to be? It is going to be Matthew 9890. So there we go, Matthew. You make your way into Team 1. Next up, Group H, early call on Group of Death. There's definitely some real strong players. I mean, I'm not going to talk for myself, but I'm getting worried about the other teams there for sure. Not looking good, but again, I'm getting ahead of myself. We'll go back to Group A, Team 2. Next up, we've got Kakariki. So there we go, Kaka. You are alongside Gruenstein and I Hate. Should be a good team. And finaling off in Group A, Team 3. We have got Ben Havens. So there we go, Ben. You are in Team 3 alongside Tere and Sibbert. Next up, I've already seen Floating Lakes coin this Team Moist. I'm not really sure how to feel about that as a team name, but who have we got any other like watery names? Maybe Cole Loves Ducks. I don't know, we'll see. Who's it going to be? It is going to be VPol. So VPol, you might have to go along with Team Moist. I'm so sorry. If that is the case. Moving on, next up into Team 5. We have got... Oh. Let's check that that's working right. Hold on. Don't want this to break. I know you're already going to be telling me that this is a conspiracy. Right, that should be okay to go again. Yes, we've got Fullblinger. There we go. Fullblinger making their way over into Team 5. Should be okay. And finally off Group B, joining Chop You Up and Bilbo Bobbins into Team 6. We have got Mike 316. So maybe it's Team 316. There's not enough teams for that, I'm afraid. Anyway, next up, Team 7, of course, joining No M and G-Man. We've got Black Spice. So Black Spice, a very strong player. Still, there's some really good players in Pot C, so some potential for some good teams to be formed here for sure. V-Poor Vapor, yeah, okay. I'll give you that. It's tenuous at best, Tuck and Cash, but Anyway, joining Gracklin, Oakbrand, and Captain Awesome, who are you going to get? You are going to get Bargoff. So again, really good player there from Pot C. This is potentially Group of Death, I think, Group C already shaping up very nicely. And the last Pot C player to go in there is going to be, I have to say, this is probably my favourite name that I've seen on the server recently. It is Lada Del Ramen. If I could give you bonus points just for having a really cool name, I absolutely would. But unfortunately, that's not how the that's not how the tournaments work. But anyway, good name. Next up, is it going to be as good a name? It is a pretty good name. We've got Volzyman. Volzyman joining Loris and Rick Sissel. I'm sure you'll be very happy on that team. Next up into Team 11, we have got the Fourth Habitat, who might be in the chat. If you're on the chat, say hello. I saw you over on the Discord earlier, so I hope you were able to make your way over here. And finally, the last Pot C player into Group D, we've got Danny MQ. So we've got a couple of Ds and a C there. A couple of Ds in Group D. That's okay. I can live with that. I can live with that. So halfway through Pot C, we move on next to Team 13. And we have the Flash, who is going to go alongside Ethma and Stallbird. So there we go. A good looking team there. Next up into... Oh, this is not... This is completely falling apart. Right, so let's make sure we don't get any duplicates. Because that's what we really don't want. If we do get some duplicates, I can only apologise, but I think we're okay. How many names should we have left? We should have 11. So, is it 11? I believe so. Let's just check. I've not accidentally deleted anyone who I shouldn't have done. Oh no, Kyle, we haven't had you yet, have we? Let's get you over. All right. I think we're good to go. Have we already had Kyle? No, we haven't had Kyle. Maybe Kyle's going to come up next. Let's have a look. It is going to be Otto Leela. So is that... Nah, that's not the same group as Loris. That would have been nice, at least. But you said you play each other all the time, so maybe it's for the best that you're kept apart. Next up, into Group E, we have got Storm Chaser. So you'll go alongside Slow Pigeon and Julius Diamond. Good looking team. Moving on over to Group F. Who is going to join Motherlove and Outstanding? It is Coal Love Ducks. Nearly forgot you. Nearly missed you off the list. But don't worry, you make your way there into Team 16. If you get put into two teams, do you get two chances? I'm going to have to say no, because there are already 96 spots and 96 players. So would be good, though, if you could double your chances. But there we go. We go to our next player. We've got another K. It's Castrelli. So Castrelli, you make your way there in alongside Jeez the Beast and Ballet Mage. And next up, we have got Deviled Egg, who finishes off Group F from a Pot C perspective. We move on once again. We saw a couple of Zs. Could potentially go here alongside Zoom. Maybe we'll get the Z team. Or the Z team, if you're American. I can only apologise. Who's it going to be? It is going to be... I'm just going to say Eva. Please don't make me pronounce your name again on stream. I nearly butchered it last time. Anyway, next up, we do have a Z player. We've got Zygomatic into Group G there, alongside Bout Nemo and Fanbun. Next up, into Team 21, we have got El Normus. So El Normus alongside Iroku and G-True. That pretty good looking team there, I think. El Normus very new to the server, but already getting some games in, which is good to see. Over to Group H, the final group. 3 players left. Who is going to go where? First up, we have got Carl Hungus alongside Alex and Scared of Birds. Next up, we've got Kraz. And so, Zobi, that means only one thing. You're going to be on my team. So again, like Birdwatcher, I can only apologise that you're stuck with me, but that's the nature of the random draws. So, we are all done. Pot C, and as a result, we are 3/4 of the way through. We have only got 24 names left to draw out of the hat. And these are going to be the last players to finish off each team. So, first up, the first pot D player out of the hat. It is going to be, I'm going to say it's Eclipse Viola. So Eclipse Viola, you make your way into Team 1. I should say there are a lot of new players, particularly in pot D. So lots of names that are going to be new to me. If I do butcher your name, feel free to trash me, either in the comments or on the server. I could take it. I could take it. Next up, is there going to be another new name into Team 2? It's not. It's going to be one of the most longest standing members of the server. We've got Nico1968. So that is very nice to see. In Team 2 there alongside Groove, I Hate and Kakariki. Very much the wild cards, I think, Cash. You don't know who you're going to get here. Some, like I say, some experienced players, but also some very new ones. So anything could happen here. And finally, Cash, who are you going to get joining you in your team? It is going to be Michael, the Grackle, who is always in my comments and is always commenting on the server. So you've got yourself a very active community member there in Michael. Next up, into Team Moist. Who's it going to be? It's going to be Rantaro 311. Good luck finding something wet about that name. I challenge you. Moving on, joining Team Sim. Who's going to be the lucky person? It is going to be Spoonifer. So congratulations, Spoonifer. You've got yourself a strong team for sure. The next person, I can't say the same. Unfortunately, you're going to be stuck with Chop. I'm so sorry, Bush Tit Lover. I tried to get you a good team. But there you go, into Team 6 alongside Chop, Bilbo and Mike. Next up, Group C. The last name into Team 7. We've got Omen Brew. Again, this is definitely a new player. I have seen a little bit around. So good to have you on board and in the tournament. Hopefully you enjoy. Next up, into Team Captain Awesome, we've got TomTom9. I'm sorry I couldn't get you in Team 9. That would have been perfect, but you got yourself a good one anyway, so I'm not going to apologise too much. Next up, into Team 9, we've got Frank Nagai Jr. So again, Frank's been around for a little while, played a lot of games, so a lot of experience there. Alongside Epic Sax, Oki, and the best name on the server, Lana Del Ramen. Moving over to Group D, into Team Loris, we have got Mortal Wings. So again, I've definitely seen their name around quite a bit. Definitely seen them around a bit, so that would be a good one. That would be a good one to go with Loris, Rixisel, and Volziban. Moving over to Team 11, El Sapo Grappo, you join Rocket Fuel, Bushnit, and the Fourth Habitat. Good looking team there. Right, have we got any Ds left? Oh, we have. We've got Detritus. Come on, please. Please, Detritus. Please, can we get Detritus here? Ah, we've got Ryan Egbert, though. So there we go, Ryan. You join Croker, Durdlegurk, and Danny MQ. Over to Team 13, Team Ethma. Who is it going to be? It is going to be Binsky. So Binsky, again, another new player. Good to have you on board. Welcome. You are fortunate to be with Ethma, although Captain Awesome might say unfortunate. But yeah, hopefully you enjoy. Next on up, joining Ronster, Moops, and Otto Leela, we have got Rex Cow. So a new player, but one that I have seen around quite a bit. So welcome, Rex Cow. Good to have you here. Into Team 14 you go. And next up, we've got Lord Devastator, who joins Slow Pigeon, Julius Diamond, and Storm Chaser in Team 15. Over to Group F, joining Mother Love, Outstanding, and Carl Loves Ducks, we have got Gogol 8. So welcome. Over to Team 17. Geest, are you there? Who's it going to be? It's going to be Queenfisher. Well, I know Geest is a big fan of Kingfishers, so I feel like that's meant to be, having Geest and Queenfisher on the same team. That's a winning combo right there, if I've ever seen one. Moving over to Team 18, joining Julius, Awesomeness, and Deviled Egg, we have got Do I have to shout this because it's in caps? We have got Release the Birds. So Release the Birds, your name is too long for my box. But we know it's you. There you go, it's Team 18. Over to Group G, the penultimate group. We're getting through this very quickly. Joining Zoom, Spake Me, and Eva, we have got El Trudat. So El Trudat in the same group as G Trudat. So I believe they are family members. I think they might be sisters. So you're either going to be really happy with me for that or really annoyed. So you're welcome or I'm sorry, depending on which one it is. Anyway, next up into Team 20, we've got Hill Partridge. Again, a very experienced server member there, alongside About Nemo, Funbun, and Zygomatic. So that feels like a good balance between kind of fresh experience, young, youthful energy. New players storming up the ELO charts. Definitely Team 21 to watch for me. Finally, into Team 21, Group G, it is Detritus. So we go Detritus, you join Irakuji, Truda, and Elnormus. And finally, we go into Group H. We've got 3 names left and 3 teams to put them into. Who is it going to be? First up, into Team 22. It is Palindrome. Palindrome, you join Alex Scaredbirds and Carl Hungus. Next up, the second to last player to come out. Is it going to be LKT or is it going to be Trundle? It is going to be LKT. So there we go, LKT. You join Midlife, Mr. Snooze, and Kraz and Trundle. Trundle. If you're watching, you've been sat there waiting for your name to be called. And there it is. You join myself, Birdwatcher, and Zobi in Team 24. And with that, that's the draw done. We are all wrapped up. So thank you, everyone who's joined. And yeah, hopefully you enjoyed watching that. Finding out who's going to be in your teams, in your groups. Definitely some very tasty looking teams and groups, some good matches I think we're going to see. Definitely got my eye on the mod on mod violence, and I think the face-off between the Trudats in Group G is one I'm going to have my eye on for sure. So yeah, should be a good one. And yeah, there's a bit of admin that I've got to do behind the scenes to get this all sorted, get this all up on challenge, get all the channels ready. But once that is done, you will be off to the races and ready to play some games. So hopefully it won't take too long. I will obviously post and tag everything on the server. So I will see you all over there, and best of luck in this tournament.